Welcome to Bajerski YouTube channel. How are you all doing today? Okay, it's been a while since I've done a kind of self-help video of experiences that I've learned over the years with clients, with hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of clients about one particular subject that keeps cropping up all the time. And it's a subject that is deeply painful for all parties involved, always, and we tend to forget that. It has a ripple effect, very, very damning, very damaging, very soul destroying, and a lot of people don't realize this, but it actually causes physical illness eventually to everybody who lives in this delusion. So what am I talking about today? Well, it's hard to put a title to it, but let's just say you consider yourself to be a black sheep of the family. Or another title could be Why I Struggle to Get On With My Parents. Another title could be Why Am I Always in Conflict with My Siblings? So if we're going to do this, let's do it properly. Let's not just dance around a little bit and make it YouTube friendly. Let's really go to the core and let's really tackle this. And the first thing you need to understand is there isn't a set procedure. There isn't steps that you can take that will end this experience, which it is. It's an experience. Every single soul is different on their journey of awakening, on their journey of understanding, and quite frankly, a lot of the times, their journey of not listening. How we desperately, all of us deep down, want people to listen. Is that it in itself the problem? It's something that we need to look at, which many of us don't. So where do we start? Where do you want to start with this? Because there's so many angles. What I'll do is I'll start by my experience, which is personal, instead of my clients. I may have mentioned this story once or twice before, I don't know, but it may be something that might trigger something in you when you're listening to this, and you might say, oh, I never thought about it that way, or oh yeah, maybe. Or it may not resonate at all, and you may think, okay, I can't do that, and there's going to be reasons why you can't do it. So it was clear as a child growing up that I wasn't like the rest of the family. We were all different. All of us had our own personality, but with me, there was a gap of 7 years. So I was a mistake. My mum said I was the best mistake she ever had. Not so sure about that. Anyway, my dad was a very unusual man. His life was something that we, as people who are in this world that came along in the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, we had a different life because we weren't fighting fascism. Can you believe I'm saying this? You know you're laughing now, right? What I mean is there weren't tanks, there weren't guns, there weren't people throwing you into carriages where they were poisoning you. Now it's a different war. It's actually, people want that. They're actually doing it themselves. But anyway, shut up, Mark. Keep going. I don't think there was a day in my life that I really can recall thinking how proud I was of my father. I can recall every day how petrified I was of him. because he may just flip at any given moment. It turned out as I got older that I realised he was an alcoholic. He was a cupboard alcoholic. And what that means is that he'd go into another room, pull the cupboard open, pour his drink it, and then come back in. And now it makes sense that through the night, his aggression got worse and worse, and he normally kicked off and blew up past 7, 8 o'clock at night. So, but then when he'd come home at 6 and have a strip wash and come downstairs, he'd do his military walk in the garden and see if there's any footprints that I left, and if there was, then I'd be ready for a real beating. Yeah, even my friends used to feel sorry for me when they used to come and look over the fence, because they all have a kind of reminder and a memory of me, and the memory is you took some beats. And I think after a while when you get beat, the beat doesn't really hurt, it's just the thought of the beat, you know, getting ready for the abuse. The abuse, you know, it's no problem. When it's over, you feel better because you're no longer fearing the abuse through that day. As I grew up, there was a final point where I said to my dad, I spilt some milk and my mum had just died, and he bit his lip, he raised his hand ready to give me a smack across the head. And I turned to him for the first time in my life and I said, just look at you. Just look at your aggression. Dad, it's not the milk, it's you. That was the last time he raised his hand to me, which I was very thankful for. From that moment on, as a son, has this kind of automatic response as a daughter would to her mum and dad. That response, that mechanism that's within us, that inherent energy, whether you call it the mind or whether you believe it's the soul, the spirit, we just want to help. But when we try and help or try and make a difference, I think deep down we're trying to make amends. We're trying to get a sorry from our parents. We're trying to get our parents to understand what they did. We're trying to get our parents to love us how we wanted to be loved. And I think there's something in that. I think we're always trying, or we're always wanting to make things right, but deep down there's a hole, there's a void that was never filled by our parents because of their lack of real understanding of what we want as a singular black sheep, as a different human being to the rest of the human beings, the ones that are a little bit more sensitive. Okay, a lot more sensitive, but we start to grow up and we start to see there's something that we don't really talk about to ourselves, and that is we don't really want to look at ourselves and say that we are different. We don't want to look in the mirror and say that I am nothing like my siblings or my mum or my dad, because we kind of feel that this, you know, blood is thicker than water, and there must be we must be the same, and that's a tough one for us to grasp, because if we're saying that we're not like them, we're almost saying that they're not my family, which is not true. They are our family, but blood isn't thicker than water in that respect. And I don't know. I just don't know. I just don't know. That phrase, where did it come from? Who created that? Because that's almost sounds a little bit sinister to me. Or should I say selfish? You know, hey, I'm your family. You've got to do these things. Hey, I'm your brother. You should be like this to me, or we should be like this to each other, or you should never do this. No, I'm sorry. No, 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 no. What is, what is for me really important is respect for one another. But here's where it gets really complicated. Deep down, each one of us desires everybody to love us in the way that we feel that we should be loved. We put ourselves into boxes, we label ourselves, we categorize everything we are about ourselves and others. Thus, we expect other people to look at us in the way that we want them to look at us. But actually, when you turn that round and you look at your mum or your dad, well, you don't do that to your mum and your dad. You don't look at them the way that they want to be looked at, because that's not really what it's about. And that's not how you fix or heal any situation. And we could actually say that that's, without knowing, we're going into ego. We're wanting people to agree with everything that we do, everything that we say, and everything that we see. So we want people to basically love everything about ourselves, which is practically impossible, because each person has their own experience. There is a saying that, you know, if you really truly want to understand somebody, you've got to walk a mile in their shoes. You've got to walk their footsteps. You've got to know what they've been through to be able to look at you in a certain way, and it's never going to happen. So I can tell you thousands of things that happened to me and my dad that I just used to shake my head. I used to cry. I used to just have sleepless nights thinking, what kind of dad is this? You know, this isn't a dad. This is a monster, or this is a cold-hearted person. But yet there were moments, just moments, where what I wanted filling inside me happened. And one moment was when I was asleep in bed. He came into the bedroom and my mum had just died, maybe 2 or 3 weeks prior. And I was just in bed, and he for some reason, he leant down and kissed my forehead and then left. And yeah, it was like he went and I just started crying, and it's like, I think at that point I realised that we expect our family to love us how we want them. And what we never look at is that maybe that's the only way they know how to love us. Those little moments of them trying to show their love. You know, he couldn't kiss me when I was awake, but he thought I was asleep. So that was his only way of showing his love, because he couldn't face love in its truest form because of what he'd been through. I mean, my dad was in the army. He ended up being a second lieutenant, meaning he was in charge of, 100 tanks in the Second World War. You don't grow up as a kid and then go straight to the army and start hugging your best friends in the army. You don't go up to them and give them a hug like I do with people that I meet. Yet I expect my dad to hug me, or I expect everybody else to be like that. But you don't know what other people have been through. You don't know what their love is, their ability to love. Who says that your mum or your dad or your sister's love for you isn't equal to your love for them? Just because you do things in the way that you do to show them love is your understanding, your equivalent of love, but to them, their little ways of showing their love in the only way they're capable of doing is equal to your love in their eyes. Might not be in your eyes, but in their eyes, they look at you as if to say, what are you talking about? Of course I love you. Don't I do this? Haven't I done that? And you're like, seriously? So we're always judging each other, we're always measuring each other, which is a real inner battle and struggle for all of us. And ultimately that battle and struggle, only one person suffers in the end, really, and that's you. When you battle and when you struggle, when you feel emptiness, all of these things are vibrations that, vibrate and fully vibrate inside certain parts of your body. And when they do that, they cause great harm to that particular part of the body, because your body shouldn't be vibrating at that energy of fear, worry, stress, anxiety, pain, suffering. Why? All of that energy, it's like little creatures eating away at your physical body. And eventually your physical body will scream out and say, I can't cope with this no more, and then fall apart. And then you're lying in bed and you wonder to yourself, when you're lying in bed suffering and you've got a disease or an illness that may take your life in the next month or 6 months, or you can't ever do something again because whatever you did through that pain and suffering of trying to understand your siblings or your mum and dad, that now you're no good for anything. You're a waste of space. You're just a shell of a body. Your spirit is severed because your physical is permanently damaged. I don't think that's the answer, do you? So that needs to be wiped away instantly, because the end result can be cancer, it can be breast cancer, brother and sister, mum and daughter. Did you know? There's certain cancers that can relate to your suffering that you go through with your family. Not always. So I remember the last time I went to my dad's, I bought this beautiful, I think it was a brown settee. I saved up for a long time, and it was a brand new settee, and I wanted to surprise him, so me and John brought it in and took the old one out and threw the old one away because it was about 40 years old and it was sagging. It was just, he'd got cushions where the sprungs were there and cushions at the back to support himself. When he came back, I said, I've got you a surprise, Dad. And he came into the room, sat in it, he says, where's the other suite? I want it back, I don't like this one. Well, I'd thrown the other one away. And I said, maybe if you just get used to it, you might find you'll really like it. Well, of course he didn't like it, because he's not me and I'm not him. So I thought he'd like it, but I don't know what he wants against his back or on his bum. I don't know the support. I don't know whether he wants the colour or not. But what I did notice is something very much that's in me now as I've got older. I've got the trait marks of my father. A friend of mine said to me the other day, I'd like to buy you something. I said, don't buy me anything. I said, I'm very difficult. When you buy something, it's probably not going to be right. And I'm thinking, Jesus, you're just like your dad. Oh my God. Ain't that a slap in the face? Or is it the head? Or is that a kick in the head? So I said, I'm sorry, Dad. I threw it away. And he got really angry. So I stormed out with John, and I stormed out because I was gutted. Not because I was angry, but, sat in the van and I just banged my hands against the thing, and then all of a sudden I just started laughing. I always remember that. I just started laughing. And I said to myself, you are a fool. You're a fool. Not because I bought him the sweet and he didn't like it. It's just that I'm a fool because this is a kind of test. And I realized this is about emotion. This is about my feelings. It's not about my dad. And I realised my dad will never change. And I realised at that point that I'd spent all my life trying to please my dad for him to love me in the way I want him to, and to react in a way that I consider to be a right way of reacting. And I realised that, Mark, you're banging your head against a brick wall, son. He's never going to change because that's who your dad is. And I laughed. And I think that was the moment that something released. And it was something that I think all of us need to release. It's that penny drop moment when you realise that it isn't about fixing your dad or your mum or your sisters and your brothers. It isn't about sitting down and sharing all the information of what you've got about your defence on why they are, the bad person and why they've done all these things to me. It's not about any of that. It's about your acceptance of who people are. It's basically accepting. I accepted my dad when I banged my head and just banged my head back. And I think I might have banged my head on the steering wheel as well a few times, because I wanted to I think I did wake myself up, but banging my head made me realise that, you're an idiot. It's never going to be any different. But I laughed at it. I didn't cry this time. I laughed. And I think it was the penny drop moment that made me realise that your dad is here, just like your mum is here and your brothers and sisters are here to show you who you are. They're not here to test you, really. They're not here to show you that they're not good and you are good. They're there for you to really understand yourself, life, experience, emotion. And at that point, we grow. Most of us never get out of that. Most of us are still in that moment where, it doesn't matter what Mark's just said. I still have to deal with it. I still have to go and see her, or I still have to be with her, and I still have to live with her. Well, right, okay, that's true. But really everything points back right at you. Because you'll never change other people. You'll never change your mum, your sister, your brother. You will never be their change. So good luck to you. See you in the mental institution. See you soon. See you in hospital if you continue down that path. I've seen many people try and thinking that I got a breakthrough today, Mark. Yeah, well, enjoy it while it lasts, mate, because we always revert back to who we are. Very, very, very few people actually really change. Very few. The ones that do, I honour them and respect them, and I'm often around them wanting to know what they did and how they did it. And I have a lot of respect, but even with those people, they still have issues with other things, so it's ongoing. It might not be with their mother, but now it might be with their sister. It might be with their brother. It might be with somebody else now. So I think the point is each individual experience we have with whoever we have shouldn't be based on everything that's happening and what we know, and it's a singular experience between you and another person that needs to be understood within yourself. So what am I saying today? Without being awful to you and without being awful to me, I think we are the problem. I think you are the problem. But there is good news. We are the solution. You are the solution. And I think if we look at it like that today, we can start being honest with ourselves. Where are you going? Come back! Stop running away from yourself! Anybody there? I think everybody's gone. So take for instance, you've got a beautiful mum who loves you unconditionally in her own way, and yet you are totally frustrated because your mum aggravates you, upsets you, triggers you with what she does and what she says, because your feelings are not being met. Well, first of all, that's going to send you crazy. It's going to send you to an early grave. You're going to get wrinkles. You're going to feel ill. Your bones are going to ache. You're going to get flu, all kinds of things happening to you because your immune system lowers when you are triggered. So your mum is your mum. Your mum knows you in the way she knows you, and that's who you are. Until the moment she moves into the light, she will be exactly that person, looking at you in exactly that way. Doesn't matter if you go all out and buy her a brand new handbag or, take her on holiday, she'll always see you in the same way she sees you, and that way will never change. Doesn't matter what you do. You can't alter the way she sees you. You probably thinking you can, and I'll say, well, you can for a little bit, but they'll always revert back to how they saw you originally. It's a flaw in humanity. It is one of the weaknesses of humanity. We always look at, so like everybody in Huddersfield where I live sees me as a guy who was on blind date, saw me as an idiot, as a blind date rat, saw me as an auctioneer or a dancer. That's it. They have their perception of me, and that never changes, because that was their moment where this is who he is. Now I know who he is. That's it. It's finished. That's called closed-mindedness. That's being closed-minded. That's very normal. It's a trademark we all have. I guess it's a way of compartmentalizing everything in life as a box, as a label. So I don't think it's just something up here. Here is where we should be really feeling. And I guess if we really truly believe that each person has a divine path and an awakening at any given moment, then we should be open to it at any given moment and say, no, that isn't the person. That person changes every single moment of every single day, so they can change, and we do change, and we are the change, and everything that, it's constant, isn't it? Everything, change, always changing. Yet, when we look at family, that's who they are. That's who my mum is, that's who my dad is. So there is contradictions in everything that everybody says, and including me, because at the start of this I said that our parents will never change, and I meant that as a measuring stick to the thousands of people that I read for. There's only 1%. If I said 5%, that would be pushing the boat of mums and dads who actually change. So ask yourself this question now. You've been watching this for nearly half an hour. Ask yourself a question. The issue that you've got with your family or even your partner, is it ever going to change? Now ask yourself an even bigger question. How can I make that change? See, the hardest part is selfishness within us. I'm changing, you're not. Look, I'm doing my best, you're not. You keep triggering me. You're still the same person. I'm changing, you're not. You see? Never going to change. Because you forcing your will on somebody else to change to suit your belief ain't going to happen. So the only conclusions Occam's razor is this: after looking at all aspects of all of these emotions, the simplest is normally the one you go to. And that's the one that you're in control of. That's the one that you can, and only you can make that change. Only you can make that change in you. Yeah, but I don't like what they're doing. Well, then it'll always be that way. Unless you find the courage and the strength to look in you and say, okay, I accept them for who they are. But, you know, that's them. And I love them for all their quirkiness, and I'm going to box clever now, and arm's length, small doses, and I don't want to get too much of that because it affects me. Okay, easy, right? That's one. But you're still affected. Even at arm's length, small doses, you're still affected. It still affects you. And you might turn around to me and say, you know what, Mark, I don't think I can ever change. And I'll say, well, then the situation will always be the same. It doesn't matter if you fight and, you know, scream at your siblings or your partner or your brother that you want this change. It ain't going to change. Got it off your chest for half an hour, they might, oh yeah, maybe I am. And then they go back to how they are. So ultimately, the greatest change of this circumstance I saw within many people is that they changed themselves. They looked in the mirror and asked, why am I being triggered by my mum telling me all the time what to do? Why am I triggered by my partner not showing me love? Why am I triggered by my brothers and sisters treating me differently and not showing me what I want? These are all things that are weaknesses within ourselves. And I'll tell you why, because when you are at your strongest and most powerful, and you walk through that door and you haven't seen them for weeks and weeks, you feel happy and strong. And even if they say something, yeah, it's okay, I'm strong, I'm happy. Give it 3 hours, give it 2 days, 3 days, and you'll see yourself coming back again. That weakness raising its ugly head in your head. And then the thoughts start, and here we go again. The battle commences. Never stops. It keeps repeating itself. There's a reason why it keeps repeating itself, because you haven't fixed what you need to fix inside you. And what is that, Mark? For God's sake, get on with it. Ultimately, all of this is about what you need to make you feel comfortable and happy in your life. Everything that you want from others, you want projecting into you like a healing session. You want people to make you feel as if you are normal. But you're not. You're not normal at all. You are an individual, beautiful, amazing ray of light that is 1 in a trillion. You have uniqueness, a difference in you that nobody can ever mimic, copy, understand. Nobody can ever truly know the real you. And sometimes when you ask yourself, who am I? Well, look in your mirror. You beautiful, sensitive person, who are you? Ask yourself. I can bet you'll say, I don't really know. Because we don't really know who we are. Because we're experiencing things every day, and all of those experiences are knee-jerks, or acceptance, or anger, or all sorts of emotions. You don't know who you are from one moment to the next till a situation appears. Only then you can say, all right, I get, I shouldn't have done that, or, oh wow, I feel really strong because that didn't affect me. Wow, I'm a lot stronger now. Yeah, okay, but who are you? Well, I don't know. Maybe you're not meant to know who you are. Maybe the whole point about this world, this life, this experience is to understand your challenges, your weaknesses, your flaws, your knee jerks, your fears, your strengths. Maybe they're meant to be shown every single moment of every single day. Who am I? I don't know, but I'm living an experience. Don't ever beat yourself up because somebody doesn't understand you. You know when you're talking to somebody and you want them to understand you, do you know what it's like? Do you know what I visioned when I used to close my eyes and have two people at either side, say two sisters sat opposite each other, and they want me to attune to them and see what's going on. So I turn a few cards over. You know what I used to see a lot of the time? I used to see two people. One with no shoes on and one with shoes on. And I used to ask my cards and Spirit, what does this mean? And Spirit used to say, these two people are like they've just met. One is from Africa, a Zulu, and one is from New York. One looks down and sees one with no shoes on. And the other one looks down and sees the person with these fancy shoes on. And then they both look at each other thinking they're both crazy. They're both right. Nobody's wrong. It's just their experience. And we are looking down saying, you should put your shoes on, mate. And the other one says, no, you should take them stupid shoes off and put them on Mother Earth. What's wrong with you? And at the point we look at each other and say, wow, that's interesting. Let me understand what that is. Let me figure out what this means before we start judging and pointing a finger. When the world accepts other people as they are, without judging and making an opinion, just letting it go and just saying, that's interesting. And then taking the time to feel that and understand why that is, instead of judging and then with that conclusion you're stuck. You've labelled somebody for the rest of their life, not willing to delve into the understanding of why somebody speaks to you like they do, or why you react to them the way you do. So I guess to end this small workshop on how, why, and what is the answer, I guess each individual has to work on themselves and tackle each emotion separately. I often told you about my mum's box of beautiful jewellery. It was all entangled. One massive heap of plastic beads and amber beads and silver chains and gold chains, all tied up. And I remembered getting it out, getting excited, wanting to untangle it all, just like all of those emotions we have with people, with my sister or my partner or my mum or my dad. All of them emotions are all tangled up just like that. And you want to sit down and just untangle all of it there and then. And you soon realize that you're trying to untangle it all at once. It doesn't work. You get frustrated and angry and you throw it back into the box and you go away. That doesn't work. But if you're clever enough, you look at one of the things that upsets you, one particular thing, and you take that jewelry and you see the gold chain and you just fully focus on the gold chain, nothing else, that one emotion, and start looking at that one emotion and start untangling that one emotion, and all of a sudden, one emotion is resolved. I think that's a start. It's not the answer, but it's a start. Secondly, whenever there's a situation that confronts you, stop, walk away, sit down and look at yourself and ask yourself, why am I triggered by this? Why am I upset by that? And look inside and ask you, as a child, what was it what made me feel like this? Is there a pattern here that I've always been like this? Why is that? What is it in me that suffers so much that I'm reacting to the way they speak to me? What did they just say? What did they just Just say, what did they just do? What did they just do? Oh, they did that. Oh, I know why. Maybe that's why I'm like that. Oh, it is me. And you know what? The most liberating, the most pure healing session you can give to yourself is looking at yourself and finding an explanation to why you feel so much suffering and pain when your siblings, your partner, your whoever does something that makes you react. I've spent 20 years looking at my reactions. 20 years, not 1 year, not 6 months, not in a kibbutz for 2 weeks in silence. 20 years. Have you fixed it, Mark? No, I haven't. Have you resolved anything? A few things. Did you learn from them? I learned from them. Have you got anywhere else to go? Have you got a long way to go, a short way? Got a long way to go. In fact, it's never ending. In fact, it's called a journey of life. And my life will always be triggered for different reasons all the time. And yet I still have the courage to face them and look at myself and say, today I need to work on this, or tomorrow I need to sort this out and work on that. And oh my God, I can't believe I did that. So as on a final note, I'd like to say, one of the words that encourages me is forgiveness of myself. Awakening of my true self. Honesty. Looking in my mirror. Wanting to be a stronger person for myself? Yes. Wanting to be a better person for other people? No. That's not a winner. I want to do this for me. I want to be the best I can be. Am I saying being a sucker and being a punch bag? No, I'm not. That's not what I'm saying at all. Nobody deserves to be screamed and shouted at for no reason because of their weaknesses. I'm talking about you fixing something which can't be fixed within other people by you telling them and sharing with them. But yet maybe you can become stronger by fixing yourself from the reactions that happen because of their reactions or non-reactions, right? So ultimately you can go to psychics, healers, mediums, clairvoyants, psychologists, psychiatrists. You can go to self-help gurus, you can go to life coaches, but you will always end up coming right the way back to you to face those demons or weaknesses that were created purposely for you to become stronger than. And that's for all of us. Some live their life and never, ever see it. And that's okay because they come back again. But if you believe you're a black sheep of a family, which is a good thing, it means that you've taken the step of awakening, the brave step to look in the mirror, which most people don't do. And by doing that, you're able to grow, which most people don't. So don't ever look at yourself as weaker. Don't ever look at yourself as being stupid and emotional and I'm always upset. And no, these are all gifts. These are all beautiful gifts. These are all powerful warrior gifts that make you a lion. Why? Because you are willing to look at yourself, whereas the rest of them are like sheep. And you don't talk sheepish. You don't talk sheeple. You don't talk that way. You talk in emotions, in power, in the lion energy, the feeling of all the feelings that you feel, wanting to share them. Share them. That's beautiful. Nothing wrong with that. But you'll find most people won't get it. They don't understand that language. And when you get that, you realize that the only person who can help you is you. I believe in you, of course I do. You wouldn't be here watching this now. You're amazing, you're beautiful, and let me tell you, whoever you're in conflict with, whoever it is that drives you insane, I can tell you this as a fact. Deep inside, there is a light in that person. And that light tells me that they love you with all their heart, as much as they can, and they're allowed to, in their own unique way. So next time you react, just know this: they love you, and you are loved, and you'll always be loved. Have a beautiful day, guys. Thank you so much. If you like this video, maybe you can join us on Telegram. We can continue this conversation in more depth if you like. So I'll leave the link below. And please do, if I get knocked off here very soon, which I think I will, please again, join the link below, which is Mark Bajerski Crystal's channel. And then we can continue the conversation there once they take me off here for saying things that they don't like. Have a great day, guys, and thank you with all my heart for buying the teas. I've stopped drinking the tea now late at night. I'm now gone down till about 6 o'clock because there is apparently caffeine in there. So just, some people are saying didn't sleep so good. So I can sleep fine. Even if I drink a coffee at night, I can sleep fine. But maybe stop the drink at 6 o'clock and then you should be fine. That's it, really. I'm feeling great. I'm wishing you a lovely day. And hey, life is a journey. Keep being the best you can be. And remember, when you're triggered, always hear these words: no one has the power over me. Say it and mean it. But just remember this: no one has the power over you unless you allow them in to take it away.